Breaking. King Charles just refused to sign a bill into law, and Prime Minister Starmer stormed out of Buckingham Palace in absolute fury. What happened inside that meeting room has never occurred in modern British history. The palace guard witnessed something they described as unthinkable. And what comes next could destroy the government within 72 hours. If you want to see how this constitutional earthquake ends, hit that subscribe button right now, because the next 18 minutes will change everything you thought you knew about British power. Here's what sparked the worst crisis between Crown and government since 1936. 3 hours ago, at precisely 2:15 p.m., Starmer arrived at Buckingham Palace carrying the Digital Identity and Migration Control Bill. His message was clear: sign this into law by 5 p.m. or face parliamentary chaos. The Prime Minister brought his entire inner circle. Chief of Staff Sue Gray, Communications Director Matthew Doyle, and Attorney General Victoria Prentice all filed into the palace, with briefcases bulging with legal arguments. They expected a formality, a rubber stamp, maybe 20 minutes of polite conversation before the king performed his constitutional duty. But King Charles wasn't having any of it. The monarch, who spent 70 years preparing for this role, did something that shocked even his closest advisors. He refused, not delayed, not postponed, flat out refused to give royal assent. And then he said 6 words that will echo through British history forever. His exact words were chilling, spoken with a calm that made them even more devastating. "I cannot, in good conscience, approve this," Charles told the Prime Minister, according to 3 separate palace sources who were present in the room. One equerry described the king's voice as quiet but immovable, like granite. The response was swift and brutal. Starmer, his face turning scarlet, leaned across the ornate desk and said something so shocking that a senior equerry later described it as borderline treasonous. "Your Majesty, you're a ceremonial figurehead, not a politician. You will sign this bill, or I will make sure Parliament reminds you exactly what happened to kings who forgot their place." The temperature in that room dropped to freezing. Sue Gray reportedly gasped audibly. Attorney General Prentice went pale. Even Matthew Doyle, known for his aggressive tactics, looked horrified. Within minutes, Starmer grabbed his briefcase, turned without the customary bow, and marched straight out of Buckingham Palace. Security footage, leaked just 40 minutes ago, shows him practically running to his car, his face twisted in rage. His communications director, seen in the video, was on her phone before they even left the palace grounds. According to insiders, her exact words were, "We have a Category 5 situation. The king has gone rogue." But wait, because there's another layer here that makes this even more explosive. Palace staff who witnessed the confrontation report that King Charles remained seated throughout Starmer's outburst, his hands folded calmly on the desk. When the Prime Minister finished his tirade, Charles simply said, "Prime Minister, I have read every word of this bill. I have consulted constitutional scholars, former judges, and experts in civil liberties. My decision stands." According to one source, the king then did something extraordinary. He slid a 40-page legal opinion across the desk, written by Lord Sumption, one of Britain's most respected former Supreme Court justices. The document, which has not yet been made public, reportedly eviscerates the bill's legal foundations. Starmer didn't even look at it. He left it sitting on the king's desk and walked out. That rejection, that refusal to even consider the king's constitutional concerns, may prove to be the biggest mistake of Starmer's political career. Meanwhile, British veterans who served their country with honour and distinction are being denied proper healthcare funding, while this government pushes through legislation that allocates $3.7 billion for processing asylum claims. James Richardson, a 71-year-old former Royal Marine who served in the Falklands, waited 9 months for a hip replacement surgery. His daughter shared his story on Twitter yesterday, describing how her father, a man who fought for Britain, now struggles to walk to his letterbox. "He gave everything for this country," she wrote in a post that's been shared 47,000 times, "and now he can't even get the basic medical care he was promised." The emotional weight of that hit millions of Britons who see their own parents, their own grandparents in James Richardson's story. While heroes like him suffer, while British families choose between heating and eating, Parliament wanted to rush through a bill that would create digital identity cards linked to immigration status at a cost that would make your head spin. We're talking facial recognition databases, biometric tracking, and surveillance systems that even China would envy. The technology contracts alone total $1.9 billion, awarded without competitive tender to firms with direct links to Labour Party donors. 3 of the 5 companies set to profit from this bill have executives who contributed to Starmer's leadership campaign. The financial connections run deep and dark, and investigative journalists are just beginning to uncover the paper trail. The contrast is so stark, so morally offensive, that even traditional Labour supporters are questioning what their party has become. "This isn't the Britain I grew up in," said Margaret Ellis, a retired postal worker from Yorkshire who voted Labour for 43 years straight. "When the King has more compassion for ordinary people..."